Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between the Chaos Dwarfs and Nurgle here on Borderlow Landing. It's going to be myself trying out the DAAI Fireborn, facing off against Subutai, who's going to be coming in with Big Kugath and his best buddy, the Soul Grinder of Nurgle. So let's get this party started and have some fun. Now, as far as the build goes, it's going to be a little bit different. The very big meta for Chaos Dwarves is using the Sorcerer Prophet on the Bale Taurus because of how good of a fighter he is, the free healing you get, and obviously the range of different magic he can bring. But I do still think that Astragoth is a pretty respectable character, a really good combatant, very tanky. He has as much HP as King Lewin, for example. Yeah, 6.8. I think he used to pre-nerf have like over 7,000, but yeah, very tanky, relatively quick, and does have some good magic as well. Flamestorm isn't a bad spell for clearing out Nurgle infantry, and Cascading Firecloak is nice for triggering the good old Kindle Flame, you know, synergizing with some of the fire units on your roster, in this case going to be the Fireborn. And yeah, it's really not bad. He gets in there and he knows how to brawl. I still think that the Sorcerer Prophet is the best, but I do think there's some nice niches for Astragoth. For the rest of the army, going to be some Chorf Warriors in the front, backed up by some Hobgoblin Archers. I figured fire arrows could be good against Nurgle Toads and some of the other threats like that. And here we have the DAAI Fireborn. Now, these are a unit that I think are worth experimenting with for sure. I played a couple games the past few days with and against them, and I found that they were performing relatively well and generally were paying for themselves at a 1,400-1,500 gold price point. So yeah, I mean, good armor piercing. They were recently buffed, so they went from 60 to 80 armor, if I'm not mistaken. They got their Burning Bright now procs at 25%, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and double check that. Yeah, they have something where basically they are unbreakable until they hit 25%. Yeah, it used to be 50, so they used to just crumble super quickly, but now I find they last a long time. So give it a try. Let me know your thoughts. Now, for the Nurgle army of Subutai, it's going to be pretty cool stuff. There's basically two ways you usually see Nurgle played. One is a more wide style of Nurgle with like double Cultist and Festus, or double Exalted Champion and Festus, or it's going to be going Big Chungus kind of threat overload using Kugath and Soul Grinders, and so this honestly isn't bad. It gives Nurgle some much needed range. Kugath as well as the Soul Grinder with their range bombardments are going to be able to shut down a lot of Chaos Dwarf for like rifle-based shooting and archer-based shooting. And on top of that, you know, it's a lot of HP to overcome here. 8,000 and 14,800 on Kugath. So yeah, certainly a lot. Thankfully, though, I did bring a Death Shriek rocket launcher, so those things are a really good counter against any sort of single entity. So we're going to be trying to get that Death Shriek to nail down some of the big Nurgle demons. So a little bit of fast-forwarding here, and your boy Foghorn Leghorn, you know, do what he used to do. Just get in there being disruptive. Now he's going to be punching this cultist in the face. So you can see one shot on that cultist really wasn't bad. I did pop the Black Hammer of Hashit, which puts him up to 700 weapon strength, so he can get in there, and if somebody's not paying attention, you can goon characters super quickly. So this cultist getting pounded pretty bad. Don't think I'm going to be able to get the kill. I obviously maybe could have gotten one more hit, but I didn't want to stay and find out what would happen if Big Man Kugath arrived, and I don't have any way to heal Astragoth, so I didn't want to take too much damage here. So pulling back, side objective. We just have two Goblin Laborers holding on to this point, so they're going to be flipping that objective for us. Archers in position, and the old DAAI Fireborn are here. And these things, yeah, they pack a pretty mean punch, I'm telling you. And they're a little bit cheaper than the Bull Centaur renders with the double infantry there. It looks like a little bit of artifacting from the tree there, but nonetheless, Foghorn moving into the front, doing battle with the Marauders of Nurgle, and just going for freebies wherever he can. He doesn't have the best infantry clearing. He's more of like a one-on-one fighter in my experience, but yeah, just taking what I can. I was trying to blob him up for a Flamestorm, but my opponent here, Subutai, was paying attention and does dodge that, so very, very well played there. Nonetheless, Death Shriek rocket launcher still raining in. We do also call in a Magma Cannon, so the Magma Cannon not quite as accurate as the old Death Shriek launcher, but it still does good damage against infantry, so we called that in to blast some troops. And the Fireborn getting ready to party while Foghorn continues chasing, and now getting a little bit of support from the Hobo Goblins, who will do okay damage against the 15 armor here, but it looks like the Soul Grinder is bombarding my Hobgoblins. Certainly not a bad idea. And now you get to see the DPS of the Fireborn, which are not only just one of the coolest looking units in the roster and game. I mean, look how rad these things look. But just one simple charge gets in there, does a fair amount of damage, but I do pull back seeing a debuff going down, so I saw the Miasma Pestilence, and I didn't want to be fighting in combat while I was debuffed, so I just pull back and reroute my charge to a little bit of a safer spot away from Kugath, trying to avoid him at all costs. And now the Fireborn going to be moving in and just cleaving through these Marauders of Nurgle. So they're taking some damage. We are up in value, but again, you're always going to be up in value against Nurgle, pretty much always in the early game, right? Nurgle grinds you out, they heal, they waste, they just drag you through the mud basically here. And look how quickly those DAAI took down that other Marauder there. There was a little bit of support from the Magma Cannon, but overall pretty happy. Our Death Shriek rocket launcher is focus firing the Soul Grinder of Nurgle, and we're going to be switching between that as well as Kugath, depending on which one is in range. But a nice call in here from Subutai is going to be Baron to the Bog. Nice armor piercing. They can certainly tear apart Chaos Dwarf Warriors. They can debuff blobs, trying to get a little bit of Archer DAC on the Soul Grinder, but Soul Grinders do have 90 armor, so they're somewhat resilient against basic Archer fire. And it looks like on the side point, Subutai doing some split pushing. So he came up and through the trees here and engaged against the Goblin Laborers. But the Marauders of Nurgle, it's going to take some time. They don't have a ton of DPS. And with some Hobgoblin Cutthroats coming over here, we should be able to easily 3v1 that situation. Now the middle objective looks like it might flip. Fireborn pulled back here. These Fireborn a little bit overextended. They do have some Goblin Laborer support, but with the Barons of the Bog coming in doing magic damage and debuffing their stats, I didn't want to stay. So you can see at this point I'm trying to get the Fireborn back. Didn't want to get dragged down, like I said, by the demonic damage because Kadai are actually demons, so they rely heavily on their physical resist. So I didn't want to, be giving that up too easily. Now we do see Big Man Kugath move up a little bit too excitedly here. So both archers going to be in range to put some hurt on Kugath. Granted, Subutai does get through with some of the Marauders, unfortunately for me, so the archers are going to be shut down, but we did certainly do some huge damage, and Kugath is down to about half health, and half health for Kugath is literally like tankier than almost every other legendary lord in the game. So we're trying our best to drag down the big man. Foghorn Leghorn getting in there, punched him in the back with a little bit of fire damage there, which certainly isn't bad. And the Deathstreak rocket launcher firing away. Magma Cannon, I believe, was ranging something that was downtown, but now we'll be switching on to the advancing infantry. So the Magma Cannon going to be switching on to the Marauders. Let's actually follow its little journey here for a second and see what kind of damage it does. We do see some defensive response here. Miasma Pestilence being used on Astragoth, which is pretty good, lowering his melee attack to 33, making old Kugath quite a bit tankier. Magma Cannon still got it, man. He's still trying his best, but Nurgle is swarming pretty well. Though I'm up in value, the backfield pressure is pretty serious. Here, the Bull Centaur Renders going to be coming in the front and looking to engage some of the Toads. And Bull Centaur Renders with great weapons will pretty much hard counter most Toad units, but Barons of the Bog are pretty unique in that they have two ways, I believe, of lowering your stats. Yeah, they have the Wasting Sickness. Yeah, it lowers your damage quite a bit. That in tandem with poison is pretty nasty. And backfield pressure, though, yeah, archers are all shut down. Side objective is held by us. It looks like the Hobgoblin Cutthroat's going to be able to take down the Marauders, and Nurgle not pressing the backfield anymore. Most of the fighting is over the center, but I have to admit, during this game, I was kind of looking at the balance of, not balance of power, but the current stats, and I was like, man, like, we're so close in value, that's really not good. I need to kick it into overdrive and start to get some kills, man. Nurgle Toads were coming all over the place. The Swarm really starting to feel like a true swarm. So the backfield, couple Marauders trying to get to my artillery pieces. Hobo Goblins coming in, getting a rear charge. They do actually have a rear charge bonus, so they have the Cowardly Despoiler. So if they get a rear charge on something, which they did just now, they get 25% damage, which is super sweet. So we get a nice damage bonus on those Marauders. Probably going to be paying the price with the support coming in from the Kadai Fireborn. Now back on the middle objective, old Foghorn in the Duel of Fates here, but he picked a big fight here. And though Kugath is taking some damage and going down slowly, Kugath is hands down probably the best duelist in the game. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's any character that can take Kugath one-on-one. He is just such a raid boss. And also, Subutai does call in the Cultists and the Barons of the Bog, which are going to be debuffing Astragoth stats pretty heavily in tandem with the Miasma. So yeah, just rough stuff. But nonetheless, just trying to hold the backfield, calling in some labors. Starting to feel the clock on me here as I do get passed in points. Middle objective looks like it's going to be flipping here, and Nurgle calling more and more onto their side. So yeah, Toad's coming in. Soul Grinder did pull back out of range, but is going to be re-entering range. So as soon as I see it come back in range, the Deathstreak rocket launcher will try and finish that bad boy off. But some really nice maneuvering right there. So Bull Centaur Render is picking apart Toads, but the Toads desperately diving into the backfield, which is good. If you know you're going to lose a fight with something, you might as well cause as much disruption as you possibly can with them. And they're dragging my Bull Centaurs away from the main fight, and should be crumbling here soon, but still very disruptive. And we have a pretty big blob fight here. But if you hear, Nurgle and Blobfight are best friends, and though the Kadai Fireborn aren't doing badly, they've so far gotten about 500-600 value. They have a little bit more life to live, a little bit more fighting to be done. I just can't break through the mass until we get Big Man down, right? So Kugath's sitting here at 2953 HP, and you look at him and you're like, oh, he's so low, but that's like 3000 HP. That's as much as like a full health caster, right? Flamestorm going down here, thought I would get it, didn't know if he'd be paying attention, but sadly he was. So the magic this game has honestly been very subpar. I felt like none of my magic was terribly impactful and was certainly pretty bummed about that. Fecundity going down, so that is the Nurgle army ability. Deathstreak rocket launcher just winding up and going after the big man. Couple archers coming back in the distance, so the Hobgoblin archers doing some nice supporting fire damage as Toads are dragged down over and over again. On the side point, Nurgle pressing hard, and both of my Orc Laborer units are going to pay the Troll Toll. And that probably means my Magma Cannon, which I was retreating with, is also going to go down. Orc Laborers are okay fighters, certainly better than the Goblins, and Nurgle Marauders don't do a ton of damage, but at the end of the day, I didn't have a lot to summon in, except like elite units. So we do call in some big guns. So in the back, we get the Chaos Dwarf Blunderbusses, and they're going to be blunderbussing all over the face of the Toads, so felt pretty good knocking down some of those big Demon Toads. Pretty much everyone that does overextend and go after the Magma Cannon is getting knocked down right there. And in the backfield, Kugath is running. So 1700 HP, and I pretty much felt at this point if I could kill Kugath, I would win the game. That was like my school of thought. It was like, if he goes down, the Nurgle army is going to have a lot of leadership issues. The score is still close enough. I feel like I'm getting momentum across the battlefield. But, you know, easier said than done, right? And so another rocket hits him right in the old butt there. 700 HP, and that man is rolling as quickly as he can on his mobility scooter behind the tower, and he might be able to actually get there. Nurgle using a Stream of Corruption here. Now, you might be wondering why he did that. The reason why is because it proxy Children of Nurgle lore passive, which heals his entire army. So you'll notice that Kugath just healed like 200 HP or like 150 HP, right? So pretty nice play there. A lot of people wouldn't think to do that. So Chaos Dwarf Blunderbuss is still trying to put some hurt down with a lot of nasty toads over here, causing quite a bit of drama, and Magma Cannon is shut down for now, and the Deathstreak Rocket Launcher, I was trying to slap that bad boy into guard mode and just have it rip his shot, but Kugath gets away, guys. He's got 200 HP, the last rocket hit him, and he's still not crumbling! He's at 200 HP, bro, and he's not crumbling! Absolutely insane, this is just nuts. I was on Discord with Subata. I'm like, why won't he die? Are you serious? I literally felt as if like I would have great chances with crumbling and pushing the Nurgle army back if he died, but he got away, he got a fecundity off, and this man is going to be healing up, and that was like one of the worst feelings ever. And you do see Astrogoth going for the desperation kill, and you know, if I can get the hammer and get in there and, you know, drop the hammer time with the Black Hammer of Hashut, I think that might be able to do some work, but Nurgle does call in some Marauder Horsemen, also some Toads and some more Toads, which of course are very, very good mass, so they can block up Astrogoth. And the back objective is being captured by Nurgle as well, but I do get some Fireborn over there, and Fireborn are a really good counter against armored infantry. You can see these Forsaken getting just pounded into the Shadow Realm by the DAAI, and with the recent armor buffs to the Fireborn, they actually do a pretty good job of fighting them off here. On top of that, we got Hobgoblin Cutthroats fighting on the point, so really, really hoping I can hold this one, and I think we will. I think the DAAI Fireborn and company should get the job done. Granted, Subachai pulling over a Soul Grinder. Soul Grinders do have 3 capture weight, so that might be enough to flip it. Yeah, as you can see, it starts to flip it, and these Soul Grinders, not the Soul Grinders, but DAAI, I guess they're going to be grinding some souls in their own way. We'll try and clear these units off. Wavering and Wavering. Hobgoblins here certainly going to get Terror Routed, and if they do, it might actually flip, and we could be in some danger, ladies and gentlemen. I did pull a really, really Haggard Theft on the back objective, though. We should get a couple of just raggedy, like, Hobo Goblins grabbed objective 1 and actually stole it. They had routed in the tree line, and he didn't notice it, which was very fortunate. So I was pretty happy about that. Magma Cannon still shooting into the old Nurglings here and just wearing down whatever it can. Backfield pressure is going, you know, it went well for Nurgle. They pushed me back, but we finally do clear them out. The Bull Centaur is up to 1,800 value from basically just farming Toads, and they're still a great unit. I mean, a little bit more expensive, but Bull Centaur renders are, they hit hard, man. They do work, they have good HP, and you can see they did an excellent job at clearing out those Nurgle demons. So now we got our work cut out for us. We got to push up on the objectives. We got to do it quickly. This was a pretty unfortunate one back here. Granted, the Soul Grinder of Nurgle is going to be crumbling down, most likely despite the fecundity, but he did flip this objective, which hurt pretty bad. So, you know, that was a little bit of danger for me. I needed to hold on to that one. I do have a response of some Chaos Dwarf Warriors heading over there, but they were intercepted by some Haggard Marauders of Nurgle, which were able to rally back. Both my artillery pieces are back online, ladies and gentlemen, and now it's just kind of Nurgle on the back foot, which is weird. I felt like I had a good value lead here, but I mean, I looked up at it and it was like the same, and I don't have any healing or anything. So yeah, although I guess Subutai didn't bring any fleshy abundances, all of his healing's coming from like fecundities and whatnot, so I don't think he's got like a ton of true healing outside. Well, I mean, he's got fecundity and the lore passive of Nurgle, but no big heals like fleshy abundances or things like that. I don't think I saw any of those. Fireborn still fighting on the point, though. Chaos Dwarf Warriors making their way over. We'll do a little bit of fast forwarding while we posture up. And here we see another Magma Cannon shot right into the face of those Marauder Horsemen. Magma Cannon's still great, just balanced now, right? It's gotten 1,000 value. It's been shooting most of the game. It costs about 1,000 gold. It worked out great, right? So Bull Centaur Render's going to turn around. How many times must they teach these Toads a lesson? They got their big clubs. And they're going to be taking these Toads to the club, and the DAAI Fireborn also going to be moving up with their magic damage, but trying to get around the Toads. I knew he was trying to roadblock me, so I figured we need to get the DAAI up and around and try and push towards objective 2, but we're rapidly running out of time. We're going to have to get to these points very, very quickly. The back point should flip for us. I think the Chaos Dwarf Warriors and the DAAI back here have been able to successfully clean up quite a bit. Astrogoth was chasing something off. I'm not sure how he ended up over here, but he has paid for himself. I believe he cost about 2,000 with the kit I brought, so he's done well. Granted, my magic this game has been incredibly subpar. I felt as if, like, if I just brought a Sorcerer Prophet of Fire, you know, you would just be, like, spamming Burning Head on all the Marauder stacks and just winning, right? But, yeah, you know, I think that's one of the big things. Astrogoth's lore is good, but it's not as consistent as, like, a Sorcerer Prophet, and the Bale Tor's characters are just so good, and they have healing, too. Like, the Sorcerer Prophet character would be, like, probably, like, half health right now, and maybe would have been able to go and kill Kugath and that Soul Grinder earlier, but yeah, it's cool. You got to try out different things, you know. You got to experiment and, you know, see what you like and, you know, uncover those hidden gems every now and then. So Moving up to the point, we do have a Cultist of Nurgle blocking us, but we're just honestly probably out of time here. The Chaos Dwarf's going to head to the side point. They have the capture weight. They're going to be able to get this, but it's going to take a hot second. He's moving into some Hounds to disrupt the capture. I do send some Chaos Dwarf Warriors and Goblin Laborers up on the side, just planning ahead. But really, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't have enough time. We start to grind back, but it's too late. GG, well played. It was a really, really good game. Super fun. I still think that the Sorcerer Prophet character is just a must-take. If you're playing against like a competitive player in a tournament, Astrogoth is good, and I still think there's some matchups in which maybe he would be slightly better, but the Sorcerer Prophet character is just so insane. Which is a shame, yeah. Like, I feel like they should... Like, the Sorcerer Prophet has such good items, and then you look at characters like, what's his name? Like, I can't even remember his name. We have Astrogoth, and then we have the main Chaos Dwarf character who flies on the Bale Taurus, which it's the Bale Taurus' name is Cinderbreath. I just remember the weirdest stuff. But I'm Drashoth the Ashen, yes. Like, they need to have cool items, man. But, you know, one thing I want to say, I was very happy with the performance of the Kadai. They felt great. 1,500 on the one that came in. This one was fighting and got up to 25. Archers were fine. They paid for themselves. What more do you want? And the artillery for the Chaos Dwarf, super good. Honestly, though, I think cutting the Magma Cannon and getting another Deathstreaker here is really good. Because the spray fire mode in the Deathstreaker isn't bad, but having the dual utility to take out SEs is very good. And yeah, honestly, I like the build. I just think that you cut this thing, you cut Astrogoth, you get a Bale Taurus character, and cut one of the archers, and you're in good shape. You also don't even have to go with the Kadai. There's plenty of other ways. You could open like double Magma Cannon if you want to instead. You know, there's a lot of options you can go for, man. And obviously, when Chaos Dwarf trains get fixed, that would be a good option in this matchup as well. They would be useful for running over infantry. But right now, they're just buggy and broken, so, you know, Chaos Dwarf players aren't using them. GG, well played, man. Subutai played a great game. Nurgle is an awesome faction. Always fun to play against them, as well as him. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for tonight. And Hashit and Nurgle bless. Yes, yes.